welcome to Svg TV News for Friday, September 9th, 2022. I am Yvesta Bowens with the details. Governor-General Dame Susan Duggan has extended condolences on the passing of the British monarch Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen died at her Balmoral home in Scotland on Thursday, just hours after being placed on medical supervision by doctors due to concerns over her failing health. She died at the age of 96 after reigning as Queen for 70 years. In a video statement released today, Dame Duggan says Queen Elizabeth, the head of state to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, gave 70 years of outstanding leadership to the country. She adds Vincentians will have the opportunity to sign a condolence book to be placed at Government House.
I am deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning British monarch. Her Majesty gave 70 years of outstanding leadership, inspirational and selfless service, a life devoted to others that embodied unwavering commitment and a compassion to humankind. Her Majesty ruled with grace and dignity, which culminated with the Platinum Jubilee celebrations this year. The Commonwealth has been truly blessed with a monarch viewed by millions of people as a symbol of stability and a driving force for meaningful change. On behalf of all Vincentians, Mr. Duggan and I extend heartfelt sympathy to the royal family and the citizens of the Commonwealth. Our thoughts and prayers are with the royal family during this time of loss. I wish to inform the general public that a condolence book will be established at Government House from the 12th to the 19th September 2022. The book will be available to dignitaries at the Great Hall of Government House between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has revealed that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be represented at the funeral of the late Queen Elizabeth II, which is set to be held within 2 weeks of her death. He made this disclosure on Thursday while speaking to the media on the sidelines of the official opening of the Long Line Road in North Leeward. During the ceremony, PM Gonsalves called for a minute of silence to be observed. PM Gonsalves described the reign of Queen Elizabeth as remarkable, adding she was an outstanding queen.
On behalf of the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and on my own personal behalf and that of my family, to express profound condolences on the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, who is head of state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. She's succeeded by His Majesty King Charles, and Her Majesty has had a remarkable reign, the longest in British history, one of the longest ever in the whole world. And she was a woman of great character, and she was an outstanding queen for the British people, and she represented stability for them, continuity for them. St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be represented at the funeral. So I just wanted to, first of all, express our sadness at the passing of Her Majesty.
Condolences to His Majesty King Charles III, the royal family and people of his realms and Commonwealth has been extended by Leader of the Opposition Dr. Godwin Friday. In a release, Dr. Friday said that in her long reign, the Queen provided steadfast leadership to people across the Commonwealth, which was exemplified by grace, humility, loyalty and strength. Dr. Friday added that her reign was a time of profound and lasting change, and that her commitment to service was absolute and was never found wanting. He further noted that she has fully kept the pledge made as a youthful 21-year-old princess, that her life, whether it be long or short, would be dedicated to the service of her people. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is observing 10 days of mourning as a mark of respect for the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, this country's head of state and head of the Commonwealth. As a mark of respect, during the 10 days of mourning, flags will be flown at half-mast at all police stations and all government buildings throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Commissioner of Police Colin John, gazetted officers, and other ranks of the RSVG PF extends condolences to the royal family, the British government, and people of the United Kingdom, the government and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and members of the Commonwealth. Minister of Education Honorable Curtis King explains that there are anomalies in the CSEC results released from the Caribbean Examinations Council, which need to be resolved before an official analysis and report is released by the Ministry of Education. Speaking on the API program this morning, King said although all students across St. Vincent and the Grenadines have received their CSEC results on Monday, September 5th as promised, there were some students that received an ungraded mark.
Students, in fact, at some schools, there are entire classes where in a particular subject, or in some subjects, all the students receive what is referred to as ungraded.
Ungraded?
Yes, for the particular subject or subjects, as the case may be. Now, this is not a situation where one or two students suffered from that issue. This is not a situation where one school is affected. So, given the magnitude of the issue, obviously, we have to resolve it before we could do a proper analysis and release the results.
And what is to resolve it? You mean this is between the Ministry of Education and the CXC?
And the CXC. In fact, we have someone with the title of local registrar who deals with those things between CXC and the Ministry of Education.
Minister King said that he was hoping that the issue would be resolved by Wednesday. However, this was not the case. The Education Minister noted that the issue should be resolved by next week.
We were hoping that by midweek, that is to say by Wednesday, that these issues might have been resolved. But they have not. Up to yesterday evening, they were not yet resolved. Well, as I'm saying, we still don't have any word on that resolution. In fact, we cannot make a release because the issue is still to be resolved. We are working on it though, and hopefully by sometime next week, we should be able to be in a position to release those results. But the students though, they have access to their results, as I'm indicating, and we too, as the Ministry of Education, we have access to the results, though preliminary, but taking into consideration what I said, that these results are basically compromised in the sense that they are not yet completed, since we have to resolve these issues. The hold-up is just that issue of those results that are compromised. Mm-hmm. And given the magnitude of the problem, we can't make a preliminary, let us say, assessment that would, even though preliminary, that would be, let us say, acceptable. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean,
there are just too many discrepancies.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Residents in North Leeward welcomed the official opening of the Long Line Road, a 3.6-kilometer stretch of road which was constructed under the Regional Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. The Long Line Road was constructed at an estimated cost of $3.3 million, and Minister of Finance Camila Gonzalez explains the project experienced a number of challenges as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the eruption of La Soufrière volcano. He says the Long Line Road and other developmental projects in the red and orange zones will improve the resilience of the communities which are vulnerable to disasters.
And the projects all assist in the development of our resilience against the disasters that will come. But more than that, they helped us to recover from the challenges that we faced last year and the year before, with all the problems we've had. COVID, volcano, hurricane, drought, all of those things affect the economy. There were times when aggregate was hard to find. There were times when there were issues with trucks and you couldn't bring in other things from overseas because everything locked down with COVID, and the work continued. And we could have said, look, COVID going on, things tight, let me leave that for a few years. We'll come back to it. And we could have said, volcano blew, the contractor had to leave, move out of the area. Let me tell him just stay out of the area, and when we catch back ourselves, we will come back to this. But we always said that an essential thing that we have to do to recover as a country is to get the country to work and to build things and to do things and to have contractors working and hiring people and to help entrepreneurs and to invite hotels to come and set up in the country. Because after you get the hit from COVID and you get the hit from the volcano, you have to recover.
While addressing the gathering, the minister pointed out that the repairs and construction of the Long Line Road were necessary to aid not only the farmers of the area, but also for evacuation in the event of disaster.
It means that we value the hard work of our farmers who have to use these roads to go in to harvest their produce. It means that we understand the importance of your safety and security by putting in place the measures to evacuate in the cases of emergency and slope stabilizing in areas like Tromoka, English and German gutter, where houses were held up by a few rocks and a precipice. We started by constructing this road so that when you're in Rosal or Tromoka and you're trapped from leaving to get to Coalsill, you can use this as a bypass and an alternative.
Minister James also revealed plans for the development of Chateaubelair, which will include the rehabilitation of the fisheries complex, as well as the establishment of an administrative center for banking and other services.
But in Chateaubelair, we will start very soon the rehabilitation of the fisheries complex to focus on the storage and exportation of seafood. We will see in coming months the designs for the administrative complex in Chateaubelair, which will house banking, customs and immigration, the tongue board office, the post office, and other services offered by the state in the capital, well, in the capital of North Leeward in Chateaubelair, the place which we have to develop, and we have to make it look like a tongue and put the resources in place for that.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness says more persons are opting for self-testing for the COVID-19 virus rather than being tested at a medical facility. This was revealed by Chief Health Promotions Officer Shanika John, who says the ministry is seeing less persons coming into the clinic for testing. Speaking on radio this morning, John says in light of the most recent COVID-19 death in SVG, persons are advised to seek medical care from health professionals as soon as possible and not depend on self-treatment.
We're also very still mindful that people are not testing.
Oh, okay.
So we're still mindful of that. Or people are doing more self-testing. Let's say that as well. So even in those instances, if you want to do, we expect that you will take the personal responsibility and isolate. And also we expect that if you are not getting better, that you will seek care as well, because that is also important.
John also spoke about a flu bug that is affecting many Vincentians. She urges persons to follow the same COVID-19 protocols to protect themselves and family.
Indicates that wherever you have access, or the public would have access to as well. Persons are encouraged to wear their masks. In offices where you will have adequate and sufficient coverage where vaccination is concerned, your in-house protocol could also apply as well. But that is still there. As you mentioned, we did get one death this week in particular. So it's just another reminder. It's always a reminder for me in particular, and it should be a reminder for Vincentians that COVID-19 is real. It's still there with us. And so we should take all the precautionary measures that we can. I know a number of persons have been saying that there's a really bad flu, going around and people are getting sick. And so my thinking is that the same precautionary measures to prevent you from getting COVID-19 are still applicable to prevent you from getting this flu as well. So the hand washing, the keeping your distance, keeping your unwashed hands out of your face, not eating with your unclean hands, and all of that still applies. The frequent sanitization of your spaces, your telephone that you share in the office, etc. All of those. If you're coughing, don't cough in places where a lot of people are around you. Cover your mouth. Yeah. Those are some of the very basic, Johnny, that we could get back to in order to protect us.
A total of 20 farmers participated in the field training activity on inorganic fertilizers, foliar fertilizers and organic manure application rates, quantity calculations, application methods, and frequency of application on the vegetable demonstration plot established on Ruthlin Robinson's farm at Evesham. The training was conducted by the Extension and Advisory Services Division in the Ministry of Agriculture. According to Agricultural Officer Donwa Jackson, the demonstration plot on which the training activity was performed was established as a teaching tool to train farmers in the application of good agricultural practices and complements classroom training provided under a wider program for the development of farmers. Jackson further noted that the group of selected fruit and vegetable farmers are expected to benefit from this capacity building initiative and will be in a better position to cultivate and supply safe and high quality food for local consumption. This program is being implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, and Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture.